with the D Factor Radio Show. Hi, guys. I'm Dee Williams. We're here with Dwayne Moore of Rain Credit Solutions, talking about credit and from a business perspective and from a personal perspective. Give us a call here at the station at 404-355-8699, or you can reach us at 866-923-2860, listening at love860.com. Guys, make sure you know D. Williams is all about empowering 1 million people to start their own business and by December 31st, 2015. Oh, thank you. Yes, that's a great thing, right? And listen, we want to inspire you to do that. So what I want you to do is to join the Unleash Your Ideas movement, the UII movement. Hashtag on Twitter that you've joined the movement. You hashtag UII movement. On Facebook, UII movement. Listen, if you can't call in and you're listening live, please go to YouTube. Well, YouTube, you can upload videos all day long on our station and talk about credit if you want. Dwayne is definitely there. But we are live on Twitter right now at Your D Williams. We're live on Facebook at Your D Williams. We're live on LinkedIn and on Google+. So please feel free to chime in. And I have a question here for you, Dwayne, that we've got here online. I'm in the process of starting my own online business. I know the importance of having a business bank account separate from a personal one. I just want to know, if my credit is shot, how can I apply for and get a business credit card to be able to separate it from my personal account? I have very bad credit. Is there a way for me to do this? Thanks so much for your help.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the caller or the writer in noted, that it is important to have your business credit separate from personal, business checking account separate from personal account. However, the question about, whether or not it should be whether or not to get a credit card. What you want to do before you even get to the point of needing a credit card is, develop your business. You have a lot of time. There should be a lot of time spent in, first of all, finding the demand for your service, finding the demand for your product. Long before you actually get the card. The card will tell you, hey, spend, buy something, get something for your business. Even if you're getting it for your business. Hey, I need a new laptop because I have a new business and I have a new credit card. So let me get a new laptop. And, oh, by the way, I need to get some of these online services for my business. I need, some cloud computing. I need some other things in place, for my business, because I have this business and I have this new credit card and I need to go and spend. But from the standpoint of looking at it, from getting the card, it's still a consumer outlook.
Okay.
The power, the real power of credit can be used basically before you're actually handed, credit. You develop a process, you develop a business, you develop a service, you develop something first, and that takes a lot of effort. It takes long hours. It takes reading a lot, and it takes being involved in like-minded groups of people that are also interested in doing what you're either endeavoring to do or doing what you're interested in doing what you're doing. Maybe they're at the same starting point. People call themselves small businesses, and we use that term very, very loosely. But basically, we're talking about micro businesses here.
Okay.
Did you know that the Small Business Administration, and as well as the IRS, you're small. You can have up to 5,000 employees and still be considered a small business.
How is that possible?
It's absolutely. It's just the rules. It's what they have out there. You can have that number and still be a small business. But as a micro business, when we're starting off as a one-man show, one-woman show, when we're starting off, trying to develop something, We need to actually get into the throes of where all of the activity is taking place. If you make soap, for instance, or you make jewelry, where are folks selling that? Sometimes down at Atlantic Station here in Atlanta, or other places as it gets warm. They have the tents up, and they'll go in parks, and you'll see lots of these vendors selling their goods and their wares. It's a starting point. How many times have you gone and talked with them? Well, how'd you get started? What are you doing? It's time to interview those folks, and it's time to take stock on what it is you're trying to accomplish. Get your mind off of the spending. Get that out of the way, because you want to make money, not spend it from a consumer standpoint.
But in order to start your business, you got to spend money, right?
Well, you have to invest money.
Okay.
And you invest money and you invest time, but you want to make smart moves while you're investing that money. It's different than spending that money. It's different than buying an item that you may or may not use. It's called ROI, return on investment. What is the return on investment when I purchase this product or service for my business? And one of the things that small businesses or micro businesses have at hand nowadays, more than ever before, you can get a virtual phone system online for $10 a month that makes you sound like a Fortune 500 corporation.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many available tools out there. It takes some shopping. You don't have to have someone live answering your phone necessarily. There's so many things you can do to outsource, even as a micro business. You can outsource different factions of your business and still work a job while you're running your business that some company is doing for you. For small amounts of money. It doesn't take a ton of money. It takes a lot of ingenuity.
So it's about being smart.
It's about being smart. Mm-hmm. It's about having heart. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about smart, I'm not talking about grades. I always made fun that I went to every summer school from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't cut the mustard. I was always challenged with math, so I thought. But here it is. I've been an engineer for a number of years in the technology field. I've been an architect in the technology field. I've run several businesses. I started a business by the name of Career Institute of Technology Innovation, the city. I started in the living room of my house with 9 students. Now, this was a technical training institute. And what I was endeavoring to do was getting people certified as Cisco engineers and Microsoft engineers. Well, I started this business in the living room of my house, and the living room I had it in there because I didn't have any furniture. So that was the perfect spot. I held it right there in the living room. I had 9 students to start off with, and not a single computer. Not a single computer.
Wow.
It was very organic the way that it started. And but I had a lot of knowledge, had a lot of skill and a lot of expertise. So when I pulled that whiteboard out and I started writing, those folks were filling up notepads like you wouldn't believe from the information I was giving them. Well, by the time they made their first payment for the school, I had already negotiated to buy some used computers. I bought used computers from an acquaintance that introduced me to someone else, and we brought the computers in. Well, we had at that point had gotten up to the point where we needed to do some hands-on.
Right.
So I taught them networking. We networked those old computers that were almost unnetworkable, and got them up and going. And I tell you, the students were so excited, it was unbelievable. They went and told their friends, and they told their friends, and before you knew it, I had to move out of that living room, and this was in a matter of about 8 months. 8 months of being in business with this school, I moved out of my living room and moved downtown on Peachtree Street with a waiting list of 60 students a month at $6,985 per student. We became Sallie Mae certified, so we were accredited by the Southern Board of Accreditation, the Southern Board of Regents, and we got accredited. We were receiving Sallie Mae checks. We were receiving personal payments. I also negotiated with a student that actually came who was an employee of Bell South. And he told me that he believed that Bell South would pay for his class. He gave me the number of a lady that was in human resources. I called her. We chatted for a little while. She handed me over to someone else. And before you know it, Bell South had agreed to pay any tuition for any student that went to my school.
Talk about unleashing your ideas. What an amazing story.
We went from I think the first group of students, I think I made, I don't know, $8,000. We went from $8,000 to $1.6 million.
Wow.
Revenue, annualized revenue.
Wow.
10 employees. And it exploded around my head. I couldn't believe the success and the growth rate. I was not on the radio advertising. I held because before we started really making a lot of money, I didn't have the money to invest, and I didn't want to borrow, and I did not want to use my business credit just to do advertising. So I went and thought about it for a while, and I, through a means of just talking to folks, I found out that the water departments of each county in the state of Georgia, most of them have what they call community rooms. Well, in the county I was living in at the time, I went to the water department, and sure enough, they had a beautiful community room. Beautiful. It had a overhead projector, had beautiful tables, had a kitchen. I mean, it was laid out. So I started having what I called orientation meetings every Tuesday.
Wow.
And so I handed out flyers. I had the former students hand out flyers. We spread the word. And I remember one particular time that no one showed up. And that was the last time that ever happened. When no one showed up, I was so distraught because I'm trying to fill this class.
Right.
And I decided that, I'm going to really get engaged and find out what people need. And I started going out talking to groups of people. I went to various clubs, men's clubs, ladies' clubs. I went to different events and told them I'd like to talk about education for free. And I'd like to talk about, education in the technology arena. And I was invited and started spreading the word. After that time, my orientations were packed to the point where I'd have someone standing outside the door that would let folks know when we could not fit anybody else in.
Wow. Because
of the fire marshal, fire regulations. Needless to say that it exploded. We blew up. We went and did some great things. We had a demise that happened because of 9/11. I won't go into that entire story.
Right.
But, however, the rise and fall of nations, the rise and fall of businesses.
Right.
It wasn't so much of whether it was an elongated, success, and it didn't last as long as I would have liked it to, but it did last for several years. However, on the end of that, I learned a lot of valuable lessons as an executive. I learned a lot of valuable lessons as a leader. I learned a lot of valuable lessons about people I wanted to service. And one of the reasons those folks came to my school is because my mind was not on collecting their money. It was on the service I had to offer them. I was completely convinced that I could get you into the technology field and change your life. And I didn't care if you had a hard time spelling cat. If I told you the first two letters and said the last one looks like a cross and you still couldn't get it, I was convinced. I didn't care. I could still teach you technology. I was convinced of that. And it was the way that I learned. So it's the same way, and I take that same passion into every business. I take that same passion into every endeavor because I'm out to serve. I'm out to assist. I'm out to help. I have a model of integrity. I have a model of honesty. I'm looking to make sure that you're in a better position after leaving me than you were before you met me. That is my objective. And if you have an objective like that, you build it and they will come. They will come. And that's part of it, but it has to be the service. We many times we look for exemplary service when we go to hotels and restaurants, and some of us can be a little snobby, when they bring the food, if the hamburger wasn't just right, if the steak wasn't just right, but yet we'll turn around and offer lousy service to people that we're servicing. Demanding it on one end, but refusing to give it on the other. But yet we still expect success.
Right.
There is something called the law of reciprocity, but we won't get into that.
Woo! See, this is the Dwayne Moore that he gets you fired up. Listen, you are listening to the D Factor Radio Show. I am D. Williams. Dwayne Moore is just getting started. You see him over here. He's fired up. Love 860 AM. Feel free to call us 404-355-8699. Listen, come back, guys. We have so much more to share with you. We'll be right back.
Crazy what I'm about to say. the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go! Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go! Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Come on.
Maya Angelou once said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." Comeback Stories Digest is an online magazine that allows you to share your journey from trials to triumph with people all over the world. You've always wanted to motivate and inspire. Well, now you can. Join now and be one of the 100 stories featured during the March 31st launch. Simply visit comebackstoriesdigest.com. That's comebackstoriesdigest.com.